Hi, welcome back. Today we're exploring a topic that brings together two things that many people think are opposite, but in truth, they're deeply connected: the Bible and the stars. I have many clients who practice Christianity and ask me about my beliefs with astrology and tell me that they are nervous to share their love of astrology with mutual friends because they are questioning, what the Bible has about astrology, if anything in it, and, if it's right or whatever. And of course, I don't make any judgments. But what I have done is put together some interesting information for all of us. And today we're going to explore that topic. Here we go. So, when most people think of astrology, they think of horoscopes or zodiac signs. And when most people think of the Bible, they think of faith, scripture, and divine law. But, okay, what if I told you that astrology and the stars themselves are not just mentioned in the Bible, but celebrated as part of God's design? So let's take a journey through the pages of Scripture to discover how the stars have always been a part of spiritual guidance, divine timing, and human destiny. I, for one, embrace the universe, every single inch of it, including the stars. So here we go. The heavens declare. Let's begin at the very beginning. Genesis. Genesis 1:14 says, "And God said, let there be lights in the heavens to separate the day from the night, and let them serve as signs to mark sacred times, days, and years." That word signs is powerful. God Himself created the stars, or God herself, not just to light the night sky, but to be signs, clues, markers, and guides to help us navigate the sacred rhythms of life. Astrology, at its core, is the study of those signs. And remember, astrology is also the very first science. It's not about fortune telling or controlling the future. It's about aligning ourselves with the greater cycles that God placed in the heavens. Psalm 19:1 expands on this. The heavens declare the glory of God. The skies proclaim the work of His hands. When we look at the stars, we aren't just looking at distant lights. We're looking at living symbols of divine intelligence, messages written across the sky that proclaim the beauty and glory of God. Now let's move on to one of the most beautiful moments in Scripture, the birth of Christ. Matthew 2:1-2 tells us, after Jesus was born in Bethlehem, wise men from the east came to Jerusalem and asked, "Where's the one who has been born the King of the Jews? We saw his star when it rose and have come to worship him." Who were these wise men? They were astrologers. They studied the heavens, and it was through the stars that they knew something sacred was happening. Think about the birth of Christ, the most important event in Christian faith. It was announced not through a trumpet or a messenger, but through a star, and it was astrologers who recognized it. The Bible does not condemn them, it honors them as the first witnesses to Christ. That tells us something profound. Astrology, when used as a tool for divine recognition, is holy. Let's go back to Abraham. In Genesis 15:5, God takes Abraham outside and says, "Look up at the sky and count the stars. If indeed you can count them, so shall your offspring be." Here, stars are symbols of promise, destiny, and the divine multiplication. They are not random dots in the sky, they carry the meaning of covenant. And in Job 38:31-32, God Himself says, "Can you bind the chains of the Pleiades? Can you loosen Orion's belt? Can you bring forth the constellations in their seasons? God is speaking of constellations by name. He acknowledges their order, their power, and their timing. Ancient astrology studies the constellations in the birth chart. This is one of the clearest reminders that the Bible does not ignore astrology. It recognizes the constellations as part of God's creation, woven into the fabric of divine order. Now, let's clear something up. The Bible does warn against divination, using the stars to try to control or manipulate outcomes for selfish gain. That is not astrology in its highest form. But what the Bible does affirm is that the heavens were created for signs, for seasons, for guidance, and for promise. Astrology, when practiced with humility, is not about controlling God's plan. It's about recognizing the patterns that God set in motion and aligning ourselves with divine timing. It's about reverence, not control, surrender, not manipulation. So, what does this mean for us here and now? It means that when you look at your birth chart and you're not looking at something forbidden or dangerous. You're looking at a divine blueprint. You're looking at a map of your strengths, your lessons, and your potential, a cosmic mirror of the person God created you to be. It means when you see Venus, Mars, or the moon in your chart, you're seeing the same celestial lights that scripture speaks of, the same heavens that declared God's glory thousands of years ago. The stars remind us that we are not random. We are part of something infinite. Each of us is written into the same cosmic story that the Bible honors. So, when someone asks, does the Bible really speak of astrology? The answer is yes. From Genesis to the Gospels, the stars are shown as signs, as promises, as guides, and as reflections of divine glory. Astrology and faith are not enemies. They are partners in helping us to recognize that we are connected to something greater than ourselves. The stars don't take us away from God, they bring us closer. If this message resonated with you, please give this audio and the video accompanying it a like, leave a comment, and subscribe to my channel, Seduction Astrology, and let me know in the comments below what's your favorite scripture about the stars, if you have one.